What's up, guys? I'm super excited to show you guys this video of me interviewing my good old friend Eric Stokes. He's an awesome guy and has a really cool story. And as you guys have seen on my channel so far, it's been on perseverance. And I really want to bring in people to share their stories and for them to talk about how they have persevered through different things. So super excited for you guys to hear just what Eric has to say and the things that we talk about, and really want to have some more of these going forward. But without further ado, let's get right in to the talk. Eric,
What's up?
what's up, man?
Chilling, man. Excited to be here on a podcast with you.
Yes, sir. Your video's off.
Oh yeah.
Okay, there we go. Man, oh my gosh, this is so sick.
I know,
Uh,
right?
man, I'm like so pumped for like the first one. You're the first guy, man. First
I'm
person.
excited to be the first guy too, the first person.
Oh man, I like the swag, bro. What's going on with like the hair? So like, if
Braided
anyone
right here.
doesn't know, like
Braided.
usually he has a lot of hair.
Just a
So
little
this is kind of lit.
just braided right now, trying a little something different, trying to help it grow a little bit, keep it different.
Okay. All right. I like that. Well, cool beans. Yeah, so for everyone that's like seeing this is Eric Stokes. We're pretty close.
My
Been
God.
friends for a good bit. I was in his wedding. And yeah, we talk shop a lot. And it's one of those things where him and I have a lot of just aspirations and things that we want to go after. And but I'm really excited for today to just like for you guys to get to know Eric, for him to share some stuff about his life. And for you guys that have been on my channel, we're talking about perseverance and things that uh, that I've had to persevere through. But what I want this channel to be is where people can share their stories and people can talk about the things that they've gone through. Because I might be able to connect with a lot of people, but I can't connect with everyone. And so someone's going to be able to listen to this and hear Eric's story and be like, man, like I connect with that. Like I understand what he's going through and maybe help them out. So Eric, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself? How old you are, where you work, just obviously, you got married, within the last year and a half, somewhat kind of like
Yeah,
that. So yeah, tell us a little bit about
last year.
yourself.
Yeah, like you said, my name's Eric. Just turned 28 last month. So that's cool. That's different. Feels the same, I guess, being closer to 30 than I am to, 20. But it is what it is. Yeah, I got married last year in June, end of June. So that's different too. Yeah, just been working as a trucking dispatcher for a company that's small, but they've been growing a lot. So the climate's just been super weird with all this COVID stuff and all the
Yeah.
shipments and stuff being pushed back. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced it as far as like their deliveries and receiving packages, months months later than when they bought it. So that's what I've been dealing with. So
Dang. Okay, so yeah, you work for that company. I mean, kind of like walk us through a little bit of what you do with that.
yeah, just well, really, my part of the process is just securing the truckers to go get the containers that have already been shipped to the U.S.
Mm.
All over the world. So I'll deal with carriers in Houston, L.A., New York, Chicago, Florida.
Oh wow.
So I'm just securing. I'm talking to truckers all day, building good relationships with them, and trying to save us money in the process of all that stuff. So it's cool just hearing, like, talking to people in New York and how what they're going through and how the economy has been different for them versus like carriers in LA and carriers in Miami, like in Chicago. Like everybody's experience with the situation has been a lot different. So it's cool stuff.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I mean, and I remember seeing you when you first kind of started that, and because I can't remember if I think we were just FaceTiming. You were showing me your like setup and stuff, and I was like, dang, that looks a little complicated with just
Oh
all
yeah,
the stuff that you gotta do. Yeah. So I was like,
looking
oh
over.
wow.
Yeah,
But
no,
okay, well that's cool, man. I mean, what are some things that you're really wanting to go after? I think what's cool on this, what I also want is later down the road, how awesome it would be for you to kind of like share what you want to, your passions that you want to kind of go after, some of the things that you want to accomplish. Um,
mhm.
and then be able to see that down the road, like you can come back on and it's like, where you at now, man? And you're like, yeah, all those
Promoting my
things,
stuff.
right? Right. So what are some things that you're really trying to go after? Things that we all can be praying for you about, just things, that's going on in your life.
Um, well, as far as personal goals, creativity wise, just creating content, dude. Like figuring out what lane I want to be in,
Mm,
figuring out what avenue I want to hit. I like to think of myself as a creative person. I like to think of myself as a funny person, at least,
that's
somewhat.
facts.
Uh,
That's facts.
and just figuring out how to use that to maybe not even make money off of it, but to like just have some type of passion, some type of creative lane that excites me.
Yeah.
Few book ideas. I want to start writing a book about just memories and just of our friends and our experiences together that we've all been through, but a lot of it will probably be different from everybody else's perspective, just because I've went through different groups of friends, different events, different time periods and stuff like that. So I have an idea in my head that I want to put in a book. So figuring out how to do that, outlining, stored boarding, and figuring out the mess that goes on in my head sometimes. So
Yeah.
um, those are my biggest goals, creativity wise or creative wise. Personal wise, this year's I'm going after friendships. I'm going
Mm,
after how to be a better friend to people. Not really expecting people to be better friends to me, but how can I be better?
yeah.
So hopped off of social media. Haven't been on since the start of the year, which has been great because that's pushed me to not really gather my information on my friends through posts and through pictures and through um, that aspect, but like going after those conversations, going after um, those meaningful events, through them telling me or through me asking about them, versus seeing a post that somebody is dating or engaged or whatever, but like
Mm,
actually deepening in my friendships and yeah, being a part of those experiences like that, um, which is cool. Like for me, I see a lot of different things on like the timelines and through posts, and like I'm like, oh, like that's great that that's happening to that person that I haven't talked to
yeah.
in months, but we're still friends. So it's something I'm trying to change this year, just to find that joy in friendships, especially in a year where it's like we all really couldn't hang out that much. We
Yeah.
all didn't really see each other that much, so we were kind of like, if I didn't see you and you weren't like in the close of my closest of friends, then I probably didn't talk to you that much.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out this year how to be better at doing that stuff. So
Yeah.
um, I I'm starting to celebrate people's birthday versus just saying like, oh, when a birthday comes up, like saying happy birthday, but actually knowing when people's birthdays are.
Mm,
Um, and like doing something special, even if it's not like a lot, but
yeah.
like doing something small for it. Just to like I said, I'm trying to find my joys differently than I did last year.
Yeah.
Um, so
That third one's pretty cool because my birthday is
yeah, it's coming up,
coming
isn't it?
up February
Yeah.
1st,
Yes,
and
sir.
it's
You
January
know?
21st right now. So that's kind of
Hey,
lit. Well,
you're
I mean,
lucky.
dude, I I uh I really just admire just kind of even first off, you know, for anyone that knows Eric, we all know he's a funny guy. For the close knit friend group, everyone's been waiting for the book. Okay, so Eric's been talking about book ideas for a while, and we've been waiting. So that's gonna be awesome. And but yes, there's like a car that's going off. I've never heard a car go off since I've lived here, and then the first time I do a podcast. But um, no, and then I think with the friendships, man. I mean, that's so true. I even the other day, uh, so for some people that like, there's like two people that I hadn't talked to for forever, and randomly just like, well, they reached out because they were wondering about something, and so all of a sudden it's like an hour and a half later and we're still talking and we're catching up on all this different stuff, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And yeah, I mean, when you're on social media, it's very easy to look at someone when you're friends with them on just on the platform. You're like, oh cool, like that's what they're doing, and you feel like you don't really need to reach out with them because you know what's going on in their life. But when
Exactly.
in your situation, that I think that's really cool because yeah, it pushes you to, you especially with the person that you are, you go after, you want to have relationships, but um connecting with them, it pushes you to be like, hey man, like how are you doing, like how's things going. And and so I think especially, yeah, with I've seen it with myself, it's so easy to with this quarantine to kind of sit back and kind of be enclosed and not really reach out as much. So yeah, I'll definitely hold you to it, but that's really cool for me to hear as well, even for myself. And
Yeah, it's like a year where I don't think that question was asked as much as people needed it. You know, like
mm,
how are you? And I know for me, like if it's not you or Donovan or like Tim or somebody like I'm super close with, then
yeah.
like I'm just be like, yeah, I'm cool and keep it pushing. But like in a year where it's a pandemic and everybody's stuck inside, and we talked about like how that affects you a lot all the time. So um like I'm starting to ask people like, okay, how are you? And then once they get that shallow answer out the way, be like, okay, like how are you doing really? You know,
Mm,
like what's really going on in your life that,
yeah.
you don't feel like always talking about, but you need to talk about. So
Yeah. No, that's huge, man. That's huge. Well, I appreciate all of what you're going after, and you know me. I mean, I'm gonna continue to stand by your side and
oh yeah,
keep
yeah, we'll
rooting
talk.
you on and stuff, and I know vice versa. Uh,
Exactly.
so for the topic of obviously just the platform at the moment and the series with perseverance, uh, kind of talk to us about in your life just a time that you've had to persevere uh, through something. And I mean, it can be anything in life, spiritually or sports or whatever it is. Uh, and I mean, if you have one, if you have two, I mean, lay it on us. But
Oof.
what are just some things that you've kind of had to persevere through, and for people that are listening, for them to be like, man, like that's, just to hear your story.
Bro, um I was thinking about this question all night and today. I was like, I really didn't go through a ton of like physical barrier. Not I don't know if I want to say physical so much, but like I know one of the bigger things was like from the maybe middle school, junior high into like maybe my middle of high school was
Hmm.
just going through a ton of family problems. And I won't get too specifics because it's family problems, and you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
keep some of those private. So, but just tons of stuff where it was like I ended up, and I have four siblings, two older brothers, two older sister, and a younger sister. And a bunch of stuff happened where it ended up being me and my younger sister for a majority of my school years. Um, so really, just like my biggest issue was feeling alone at that time, feeling like abandoned, feeling
Mm,
that feeling of like people just in and out of my life all the time,
yeah.
and figuring out how to be a man like on my own. Like I mean, I had my dad always around, but like with me and my dad, our relationship was a little different at the time, especially like it's a lot better now. But like from middle school to high school, it wasn't really like a ton of teaching for where I was at and
Mm.
what I was about to go through as far as like puberty, girls, um, you know, schooling, like the trouble you know how you get into
Yeah, yeah,
trouble in school and stuff like that. But
yeah.
it was like a lot of the my foundation came from him talking to me as a kid and telling me all the potholes to miss.
Mm,
But like while I was going through those potholes, those conversations weren't always happening.
mm,
Um, and I love my pops. Um, so those are like that was like my biggest hurdle that I have ever had to go through in life was trying to figure out how to get through that feeling of loneliness, abandonment, and figuring out how to be my own person.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine, and for anyone else that kind of feels alone. I mean, especially I know for even in our, friendship. I mean, there's been times where I've like for anyone, and I kind of mentioned this in my last podcast video, but yeah, like my mom like ended up having her stroke, and one of the people I called up was Eric because like Eric uh he immediately was just like, hey, like he was it was his birthday. and and so well, no, you called me up, right? Yeah, you texted
Yeah,
me
because I
like,
believe
hey,
I saw your post.
yeah, so I posted it up, and then you reached out to me, and it's like that day actually we were doing a surprise birthday party for Eric, and so he
Oh,
reaches out to me, and I'm like in my car right outside the house, and I had like been shedding a ton of tears the day before, but I felt like I had gotten them all out. And then him and I are just talking, but like the care that you have for people, and I think the maturity that you have grown, especially probably when you were going through that time where you had to become a man maybe quicker than other people did. And knowing how it feels to like kind of go through tough times and like knowing like, okay, this person needs me. This person like I'm sure when you look back at your time, you wish that there were people that were like right there for you, helping you during those like potholes that you were kind of, hitting. And you're like, man, like these are some, difficult times. I wish there was someone to kind of help me out of what do I do here? How do I handle this? And so, yeah, Eric just like called me up, and I'm sitting in the car, and especially with other like any friends, or like if it's not my parents, any friends that I have, I don't really like to break down in front. Like that's just I just don't I don't know anyone that does, but that's just me.
no, I feel
And
you.
here I am, like I just couldn't hold it in, and I'm just bawling my eyes out, and I'm sure you're and he just waited and was just there. And then what was really kind of cool is so later that day, I I'm like, okay, I'm definitely going to this surprise birthday party for Eric. Like this guy's my dude. Like he was there for me. And even though like I'm going through a lot right now, it also was gonna take some off my mind. But I was like, I gotta support, in doing this. And I know it's gonna be a surprise for him. But I remember I got there. Well, you had told me at the end of the call, you're like, hey man, if you need me at all, like later today, like I can come over, like blah blah blah. What are you doing? And I'm in my head like, no, you can't come over
Bro, I
because
was just gonna pop up on you.
I know. And I was like, there's a surprise in my head. I'm like, there's a surprise birthday party for you. You stay home. So when I got to his place, Mika, his wife, was like, Eric was ready. Eric had asked me if he could come like go over to your place and just be with you and kind of be by your side while you're going through this thing. And I was just like, that's the heart. Like, that's the heart of Eric. Like, I mean, we were just talking about what you want to do with your relationships with, going after it. And I feel like you do very, very well with the people that you're very close with. But I just see like a lot of you care for people that are going through tough times. You set aside whatever's going in your life. It could be your birthday, and you're like, I don't care about my birthday. I care about taking care of my boy. So I just that definitely as you were explaining that about kind of one of those things that you went through, growing up, I'm like, man, like I can see how you've grown, and how you have that specific, um, in your heart for people that are maybe going through tough times. So, is there anything else perseverance wise that you kind of were thinking about that you've had to get through, or?
I think that literally is just tied into just about any other issues that I've came across.
Mm.
Whether it was like relationships, heartache and stuff like that. The teenage heartaches was just like
Yeah.
me really have to like bull rush my way through
Mm.
them. So
Dang. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think about just like on that aspect of things. I'm just like, man, because I'm thinking about like the relationship stuff, and I'm like,
bro.
you and I like,
Oh
like I'm
yeah,
just like, man, you and I definitely have some crazy stories. I don't know, but there might be a day where I'm like,
bro.
when I'm,
We could
Lord
just go
willing,
through that
like
stuff.
married in the future, and I'm way past all these days where I'm like, yo, like, we gotta talk about some of that stuff.
Dude,
Oh
it's
my
yeah.
gosh.
We've had some crazy times.
We do. I didn't. I like. I knew about my stuff, but then you like shared. I specifically remember we were at like Wingstop or something. You were sharing about some of the stuff you went through, and I was like, "Dang, that's kind of crazy." But I mean, so for you, like, what are some like tools? People are hearing right now, um, kind of what you went through. What are some tools or things that helped you to kind of get through those times? Because you talked about your relationship with your dad is good now, and amen to that. But during that time, you were alone. You didn't have that support that many people seek for, would like to have, especially at that age, middle school and high school. So what are some things that for you specifically that you're like, yeah, this is what I use, whether it's books, friendships, I mean, whatever it is. I mean, what is it that that helped you get through those times, and even during the rest of your life of things that you've gone through?
Yeah. I think, well, relationships for sure. That's why I'm so invested in, you know, a lot of people's lives. A big one was my little sister who I love a bunch. Shout out Shannon if she listens to this. But and like a lot of y'all know her, she's like super super rough around the edges sometimes, super uh straightforward like me. But when we were younger, we fought all the time. I'm talking about like physical fights.
No way.
And she would win a lot of them because I'm bigger. I'm also the guy, so I can't
Yeah.
like, as
You're
much as
gonna let
brothers and
that. You're
sisters
not gonna
fight,
go
we can't
full.
like
Yeah.
I can't yeah, I can't actually hurt her. But I think around middle school or towards the end of middle school, or maybe we both were in high school at the time, but we started getting super close because we were all we really had.
Mm.
So we would talk all the time. We would play chess,
That's
like
awesome.
it's funny because that was like the only like board game we always had at the house. And like most of the pieces were missing, but we like made it work. Um, but yeah, we talked all the time. We like hung out all the time. We, still fought and still argued, but like at the end of the day, we would like always be that's my twin right there, like I love that girl. So she helped me with a lot of it because then I started not feeling alone, but I also had somebody I needed to like be the role model for. I wasn't like just doing everything by myself and nobody watching. Like I had somebody watching me. So um that, but then other relationships, other, you know, guys I was hanging out around with at the time, like Donovan, Jonathan, like I stayed over their house all the time.
Mhm.
like uh like later in high school when I started like actually doing I actually started studying the Bible and like coming around to like devos and stuff like that. Like they our parents would drive us to like devos. We would be in the cars listening to like my mom's pre-made CDs, listening to the same like 8 songs
That's
over and
awesome.
over again, like for like 2 years straight, bro, like the same songs. And but like I would go over the house like after track practice or like after Devos and just chill there. We would play Madden, eat oranges. Like their parents kept fruit and oranges in the house like all the time. So that's all we would eat. Um, so once I started like bringing more people in and letting more people in, because as soon as like a lot of that stuff happened with my family, like my those walls went up. You know, it was like nobody can hurt me if I don't let nobody in.
Yeah.
You know, nobody can leave me if I don't let nobody in.
Mm.
So instead of like those walls didn't completely come down and like people was running in, it was like, all right, I'll let this, you know, wall up a little bit and bring this person in, let this wall up, bring this person in.
Mm.
Um, which is why like my circle is so tight sometimes and
Mm.
like I'm trying to focus on expanding it. But those they were like some of the biggest reasons of why I was able to laugh, which is
Mm.
super important, especially during that time.
Yeah.
Like um I had other parents that would talk to me because their parents would talk to me all the time
Mm.
and just like give me that advice, give me that guidance that, you know, I didn't always want, but I needed.
Yeah.
You seeing if you know Donovan, you know like one of the purest person, one of the most outstanding human beings you would
Yeah.
ever meet. And I'm like, I'm not the complete opposite, but like I had my own issues. Um, so like seeing how he would act, seeing how he would treat Jonathan, you know, and then having like somebody I considered a younger brother
Mm.
is totally different than having a younger sister. So we would just pick on Jonathan the whole time and bully him. And I could also like roughhouse with Jonathan. You know, I can't roughhouse with Shannon that much, but with him I could.
Yeah.
But it was also like my parents was cool with me going over there all the time, you know. So um those things and then God too. Like once I like later in my high school years of just um pursuing God, knowing that He was pursuing me,
Yeah.
really helped my relationships with my family.
Mm.
And it wasn't like all sides were ended up being perfect, but it was like I was doing the things I knew I needed to do. I was trying to love as much as I could.
Mm.
So it's kind of hard when you're like trying to be loving and being nice to people and then the other person's being completely trash to you. You know, like
Yeah.
it's really hard. Like that person has to really be like a terrible person to be able to do that. Like that's so tough to do when somebody's just being super nice. So
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? As much as I argue with my siblings, I'm gonna try and be super nice, you
Mm.
know? And that worked on my older sister. Me and her have a pretty good relationship now. It worked on my dad.
Mm.
So I was like, maybe that's just the way I need to go about, you know, everything. Just being super nice, super like loving. And obviously that doesn't always happen, but that really helped me be able to repair a lot of those relationships. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's huge. I mean, one of the things that I from hearing what you were just talking about, it just sounds and I think this is the biggest thing that I think helps us is just the vulnerability,
yeah.
like when we are the times in our lives where we are like you said, the walls come up and we try to handle things by ourselves and we try to push out the world and the people that and there's a lot of people like that do want to help us out, and when we push them away we just make things all the more worse. And so I think, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that that's like one of the things that has helped you, during each of these times, and that you've kind of had to persevere, and especially during that time. And I mean, the people that you've mentioned, 100%. I mean, Donovan is just like, I can only imagine, just being able to look back on life, and obviously still now it's amazing, but being able to just look at the track record of your guys' relationship, and man, that guy was there through all this, all of that, all the stuff that I was going through. And it does help when you're going through and you have people that are there to kind of pick you out.
Mhm.
And it's funny, I so when I first moved here, I don't know what I was going through. I honestly I think about this sometimes, and Donovan might know as well. He might be able to help me out because I was going through. I just don't know the timeline. I know I was going through something really tough, but I remember I was in the car and it was one of those things where I knew I had said something on kind of like that end of the aspect of like, I don't want to like live anymore kind of thing. Like, I just don't want to do this. And I knew like of in my heart, like I obviously didn't want to take my life, but I was that's how hurt I was. And I
Yeah.
remember like Donovan and I think it was maybe Christian Zuno, they just like went to like completely just like, hey man, we're here for you. Like, don't think about that. Like you're good. Like, we're there. Like, what do you need? And it was just that immediate, like, man. So then later, when I really connected with you, because I wasn't the closest with Donovan, to be honest. I wasn't close with really any of you guys when I moved here 5 years ago. Like I
I
knew
know
of
why.
you
I
guys.
know why that was.
Huh?
I said I know why that was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Well, it's funny because before I met you,
yeah.
I had this totally different like because we all knew of you.
Mhm.
So for me, I was just hearing what everybody was saying. I was like, I'm not gonna like this dude. And then as soon as you got here, I was like, bro, this dude is super cool. Like, what are you guys talking about?
Oh, dude, I know. I knew I was coming to a ministry where, like, yeah, there's a lot of people that probably thought a lot of different things about me, and that's the thing that kind of sucks. Like so people talk, and then you have like a bad rep, and then when you start actually get to know someone, you're like, what? Where was all that coming from? I don't see any of that.
Exactly.
So but it's funny
High
that
school
I mean
stories.
I deal with that. I've dealt with that my entire life, so it was nothing new. But I remember when my mom had her heart attack, and I was going through a really bad time, and a lot of the people that were in my close friend group here, they kind of just dipped out. They were doing their own things, even spiritually, like they just were all left. And I remember there was a specific night that I was like, I'm about to do something really bad. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I just know it's gonna be really bad. And I remember that night I because both of my roommates at that time were out of town. And like I was close with and that was like Josiah and Graham. Like I was close with them, like, but like they weren't home. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm about to do, but I'm in a really bad spot right now. And I remember I got in my car, I hit up Tim, and for anyone that doesn't know Tim, awesome guy. He just had a kid. And I actually was in his wedding, but I was in his wedding, but only knew him for a year. So that just if that tells you uh how the magnitude of how close we all got in such a short period of time. But
Super
I remember
short.
driving over to his place, and all of you guys lived there, and I walked in, and the whole way over there I'm like, I'm not close to these guys. But I know I need some spiritual good company in my life
Mhm.
right now, or I'm about to mess some stuff up, and I don't want to. And it's just how hurt I was. And I stepped in there, and we like I don't remember, we just all had such a great night, and it was one of those things that just took my mind off of everything. And then like a week later, I don't remember if you remember, we were upstairs, we were all like sitting around, and we had like the deepest talk I've ever had with it was like me, you, Jonathan, Tim, Donovan, and
I
we
believe
just
it.
do you
On the
remember
kitchen
it?
floor.
Huh?
On the kitchen floor.
No, it was in his like little living room, not in the kitchen
Oh, okay,
floor. Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
So many talks happened
There
upstairs.
were, but this one was so big for me specifically because I knew these are guys I just opened up to these guys about just like everything, and I barely know these guys, even though
Mhm.
like I've lived here for 2 years now. Um, but that's what we need. I mean, for like just people that are listening, if you're going through a tough time, surround yourself with with people that you truly know care for you, not people that are cool or just like are gonna lead you astray or whatever. I mean, in the Bible, and I quote this all the time because it's so it comes up so much in my life, but bad company corrupts good character.
Yep.
And that is has run so true in my life. And anytime that I step out of that, like wanting to be with people that I know probably aren't the best for me, especially when I'm not going through when I'm not where I need to be myself, I run to people that I know are going to direct me on the right path, that are going to encourage me and help me kind of think straight, especially spiritually lens wise on stuff. So yeah, man, I sympathize kind of like with what you're talking about, and um just with having people in your life. And yeah, I mean, I just seen a lot of people, especially during the quarantine, that have kind of stepped out and have pushed people away. And it's like that's not what, it's so difficult. You don't want to, you don't like
Mhm.
to, but it's what's
Easy
needed.
to,
I didn't
yeah.
want to go over to your guys' place. I didn't know you guys, and I, to be honest, want to just chill at my place and just kind of sulk in my sadness and and all that. But I'm like, I know that I gotta take the 30-minute drive and hang out with them. And I stayed over at Tim's place for 3 days. Like, I was there for 3 days. And I remember I was going there almost like twice a week. And there was one day I stayed there, so like I was in one spot just the whole time. And me and Donovan watched the movie at night. He went in the morning, he went to work, came back. I was in the same spot. He hopped on the couch and we just started chilling again. And I was like, I love this
Yeah,
so
dude, y'all
much.
both did that a lot,
We did. We did.
especially the time when you played Minecraft till like till I had to leave in the morning when I was
No,
working at
or
Target.
what was it? That was wasn't
That was
that
Minecraft, right?
no, it was like it was Fortnite.
Fortnite, not Minecraft. My fault. Fortnite, because you
Yeah, yeah. I was
downloaded
like,
it.
I've never played Minecraft. Oh my gosh, that's awesome, man. Well, I mean, kind of coming in for a landing with a few, just few more things. Just kind of want to touch. I mean, for those that are listening that are going through a tough time, um, and it might not be with what we kind of talked about, but for you, just share. Is there any encouragement that you can kind of share to some, people that are listening to this, that are going through, or may not, they may not be going through right now, but later on in life, you guys might come back to this and be like, man, I want to get that encouragement of what what they had to say.
Yeah, I would say I think a few quick ones like weather the storm. Like
Yeah.
you never know how different your life is gonna look. A year or two after that tough time. You never know what kind of of things you learn from those trials and from those struggles that
Mm,
you're gonna need down the line. So like weather the storm, be strong. Like you're not alone. People are around to listen.
yeah.
Um, I know for me, like people were always around to listen, but I was never open with a lot of those things that was going on,
Mm,
especially to my parents, because at the time, at that age, going to your parents isn't like the cool thing to do sometimes. So,
mhm.
but like we all have peers, we all have friends that are also going through or will go through those exact same struggles. Um, and the ones that have gone through those struggles, like listen to their perspectives because they
Mm,
have a different insight to those issues and how to get past them and how to work through them. But maybe it's not even as simple as that. Maybe it's just listening and knowing that you need a ear to vent
mm,
to spew everything out and not give you any advice at all, but just to be there to listen. Because sometimes that's what we all need is just to let stuff off, let steam off,
mm.
and things feel a little bit easier.
Man, that's huge. Well, I mean, guys, if you're listening to that, I mean, take that to heart. Try to, if you're going through, I mean, this is to encourage everyone. This is obviously for people to know Eric and to hear his story. Eric, I mean, last question here, man. So we talked about your young, when you were young and you were in middle school and high school, and just the things that you went through. What's some advice? What's one thing of advice that you would give your younger self if you could kind of talk to him right now? What would you say?
I would say two things. I'm gonna say the first one real quick, and I'm gonna
Mm,
expound on the
like
second one.
it.
The first one is love yourself. Always.
Mm,
Always love yourself. Always value yourself. The second one is something I really wish I knew then that I know now. Spread yourself around.
Mm,
bro. Like a lot of the friends that I have now are not people that I would have been friends with in high school or middle school. But the
mm,
people I was friends with in those schools, like I'm not friends with them now. I don't talk to them now. I don't. A lot of them aren't as personal relationships as I have now.
yeah.
So I would say spread yourself around because some of those people that you may think this person is a nerd or this person's like not as popular as this other person, another person you may meet that might be the exact same person
Hmm.
will be your best friend,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, and you know how they say never judge a book by its cover. Like
Mm,
you never know what that person's been through. You never know what that person's going to go through, and you never
yeah.
know what that person will accomplish.
Yeah.
That person may end up being your boss, and you may he might remember that time you talked about him or made a joke about him in high school.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's how the world is. But I
Yeah.
would say just try and reach out, try and branch out to other people because man,
Yeah.
my
It's
our friend group now is so diverse and so
it is.
different backgrounds and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't be here without every single one of them. So
Yeah. I don't know about anyone else, but the amount of times, I mean, I was in middle school and half of high school I was bullied. And then I, quickly tried to get out of, being friends with the guys that were, or the friends that I was having that were getting bullied as well. And so I tried to hop in the cool group, but it is unbelievably crazy. Now I'm gonna say this before I say this. I pray and hope that everyone is successful in life
exactly.
and everyone finds their path. Um, and but the amount of people that it's flipped, where the people in middle school and high school that were like the cool kids, this is not so cool, like now, and the kids that were like, yo, that's like a nerd, or like that kid, like who are they? And it's like I look at them now through the social medias and stuff, and I go, oh my goodness, you're doing that, you're a professional soccer player, or you're doing
They're
this,
focused.
you're that confident in yourself now, or like, or man, and it's just inspirational, but it does teach you, one, yes, don't judge a book by its cover, but it also just it speaks value to just everyone. We all should treat each other equal. I mean, especially as kids, we try to be the popular kid, right? But it's like, no, like I think back to the kids that I remember um kind of pushing away, and I'm like, I wish I never had done that, because those are the true friends. Those are the friends that are actually gonna have your back. Those are the
Yep.
friends that are gonna be like, hey, I'm there for you. The other friends, like you said, I'm not close with, besides maybe two that I keep in touch with. Most I like, they could care less about
What
what's
I'm
happened
doing.
in my life,
Exactly.
or reaching out. So I definitely, like I said, I hope everyone finds their path. I hope everyone's successful in life. I hope everyone spiritually finds, finds their path as well with God. But yeah, I think that's a huge thing to say as well. And then also the loving yourself part, I think that's a huge one also, that I think a lot of us deal with, especially when we're younger. Well, Eric, I just want to say this, man. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate the first of hopefully many on this podcast channel, but a blessing to have you on, a blessing to be able to be your friend, man. And yeah,
Man,
I think all of us are rooting for you to accomplish some of those goals that you have set out. The book as well, getting those relationships, building on them. And yeah, I'm excited for your future, man.
appreciate it. Same for you, dude. Appreciate being on here. Hopefully one day we can have our own, both of us co-hosting it.
Oh yeah, that I mean, hey, I'm telling you, bro. I mean, what, a year ago I was wanting this and I just didn't have the spot to do it. I was like, this is just not gonna be the best. Now I kind of like my setup, but I'm like, I kind of want, the next step, kind of have my own place, have a little studio room, and then we
Hey,
legit
hey,
have like a
goal.
cool
That's the
little room.
goal.
That'd be sick. That'd
We
be
gonna make it happen though.
absolutely. Well, Eric, I hope you have a good rest of your night, your week. This is Stavachi. Appreciate all of you guys that tuned in to listen to Eric. And I just kind of talk shop and listen to Eric just of his life and the things that he's persevered and gotten through. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Eric, love you, man.
Yeah. Love you too, bro.
All
Peace
right,
out,
see
y'all.
ya.